Howdy everybody, Efour here, and welcome back to the channel for Season 5, Episode 1 of our FIFA 22 Youth to Gold save. Now before I continue, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to pause the video in case you're worried about spoilers, because I'm about to have a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't watched previous episodes, make sure you go and check those out if you care about being spoiled here in the next couple seconds. So here's your chance. Now that that's out of the way, we have finally made it to the Premier League. It's taken us 5 seasons. In our first season, we won the title in EFL League 2 and had a great year. We then followed that up by getting into the playoffs in Season 2 in the EFL League 1, in which we were knocked out by Bolton Wanderers in the final. In Season 3, we took the exact same team in from Season 2 and we won the title, taking the league by storm. In Season 4, we went up into the championship and we took the league by storm yet again, winning that title in this past season. Now each season we've started out a little bit rocky, but we've got our feet under us, and in 3 of our 4 seasons we have won a title. I'm definitely not saying that we're going to win a title this season in our first league in the Premier League. I think it's going to take us a couple seasons to get there, but I'm very excited to get into this season, get into the transfer window. But before we do that, we're going to refresh everyone's mind on the rules of the save. The Youth to Gold rules are as follows. 1, we cannot play any players aged 30 years or older. Once they turn 30, they are ineligible to be used within our squad. 2, we cannot sign players aged 22 years or older. The oldest players that we can sign are 21 years old. 3, we are only allowed 1 transfer and 1 free agent signing per season. We are heavily relying on our youth academy. I made this rule just to make it a little bit more challenging. We really have to pick and choose who we're going to bring in each season. And 4, you complete this challenge once you win the top league in your country. For us, that is the Premier League because we're in England, and the Continental competition. Again, that's the Champions League because we are in Europe. It doesn't matter which country you play in or which continental competition you want to try and do this with, but those are the rules of this save. So now, we're going to hop into our first transfer window in the Premier League. I've already made a short list of some players I'm looking at. You guys are going to see me make a hard decision because I have a lot of good players, really 6, and I can only bring in 2, so we're going to have to make some tough decisions there. But without further ado, let's dive in. So before we go any further, we're going to check out what the board wants us to accomplish this year. In terms of youth development, we need to sign 3 youth academy players assigned to the defender position. We'll just have to wait and see who we get. We may hit that, maybe not. 3 players younger than the age of 20 years old with a potential greater than the average overall rating of players currently in the same position. That one is fairly easy to hit if you are signing just good players. In terms of brand exposure, we need to sign 1 player with crucial or important role to strengthen your squad. Now, this is the first time in this save that I think we're actually going to hit this. We'll take a look at the short list that I've made after we go through this, and there's a guy on there that I really think is going to make our team awesome. Continental competition is still a critical priority, but we're not in Europe in any continental competitions. We're not in the Europa League, the Europa Conference League, or the Champions League, so we'll just have to wait until we qualify for one of those competitions. In terms of domestic success, our board wants us to avoid relegation, and we need to reach the round of 16 in the FA Cup, and within 2 seasons we need to finish mid-table. Now, my goal personally this season is to finish mid-table. I think we are good enough for that. I honestly do not see us pushing for a European spot. Maybe we will, but I highly doubt it. We do have some good players, but just the depth of our team overall is not there. And when guys are tired or we're having to rotate people in, there's going to be a huge drop-off between us and the competition we're playing against. I do think we can avoid relegation, but I'm shooting for mid-table. The short term, we need to reduce player wages by $17,500 a week, and we are probably going to do that maybe. I've already given a couple contracts that have been huge, Schaefer being one of them, but he let us get a 4-year extension on his contract, so now he's on a 6-year deal. So I'm not sure we're actually going to hit that. We are selling some players, but because we're going to be giving new contracts to our key players, their contracts are going to get a lot bigger now that we're in the Premier League. And we need to make $21,200,000 profit from youth player sales within 3 seasons. Now we have 3 seasons to do this. That's one that I think we may be able to do. Now that we're in the Premier League, even when guys are done developing, I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that we can only bring in 2 players per season. And because of that, I can't just sell all of my bad players. I honestly need to start keeping some of them just to fill bodies in our squad. So let's go take a look at our short list, and I'll also run you through who I have transfer listed and am trying to move out of the club. So like I mentioned, I have made a short list of 6 players. I started scouting these guys a little bit in the last episode that you saw, but this is my short list of the players that I really want to bring in. And again, I can only bring in 2. 1 free agent, 1 transfer. I have 3 free agents and 3 transfers available. Now, our budget this season is $38.74 million of transfer budget and $92,000 of wage budget left. And with that money, there's one guy in particular that I'm really looking to buy, and that is Charlie Patino. I think it was season 2 that you guys saw me try and get Charlie Patino on a loan to buy option. At the time, he was only 17. He is now 21. If we don't buy him now, we won't ever be able to buy him, and he is valued at $28 million. It says here that we're going to have to offer between $28.7 million and $30.3 million to have a chance at this deal. Now, Arsenal may accept, but if Charlie Patino doesn't want to play for us, that's going to be an issue. But he is going to be the first player I buy. We need someone who is a just star in terms of our team in the center of the park. And really that's because we have Villalba and Mike Nelson starting right now. Mike Nelson is still only 16, but he's a 74 overall. Villalba is 20 now, I think, but he's only a 72. He's not bad. He will still get game time, but we really need someone to come in and be at a Premier League level in the center of our park, and that man is Charlie Patino. So we're going to try and buy him. After that, we get 1 free agent. Now, the 2 options we have is Mendy at right back and Kamara at striker. Now, my thinking, we honestly need both positions. We don't really have a backup right back. Our backup right back is Evan Cook, who is a 68 overall. And our backup striker is no one. We're selling Tom Bloxham. I don't like how he plays in the match engine. I don't want to bring him on, even if Baker gets injured. If Baker gets injured and we sell Bloxham, then the only other option is Munoz, who's a 61. It's not going to work. We have to have a backup striker. If we have a lot of injuries in the defense this season, it is going to be a struggle. But this is how I made these rules, to make it tough. I talked to a couple of you guys this week about, can I maybe bend the rules? And everyone, like I knew in my heart, said, no, you need to keep them the same. So we're sticking to our guns, making this save challenging. I'm going to go with Kamara because we don't have a backup striker that I trust. Kamara could be that guy. He could not be that guy. But I know I don't trust Bloxham, and I might trust Kamara. So we're going to try Kamara. He's got 77 acceleration, 76 sprint speed, and 75 agility. That's the main thing. He's shifty and a similar kind of player to Baker. Definitely not as good, but he is similar. So we're going to go with him and see how he feels in the match engine. And so, as I said, we're going to try and sign Charlie Patino and go with Kamara. I really liked Cade Cowell here, and he's a United States international, valued at $13.5 million. Kamara is valued at 5.5, so Kamara obviously doesn't have much potential, but I don't need him to. We'll take a look in a second at the changes in potential within our squad. They're honestly pretty crazy, so I'm very excited about that. But let me go see if I can get these 2 boys, and I will update you as we go along. Quick update here, Arsenal has accepted a bid of $25 million for Charlie Patino. It originally had said they wanted somewhere from 28 to 30 million. I cut it a little bit low, and they accepted the 25 million. Maybe I should have tried to go a little lower to see if I could work them down, but we're going to move ahead with Charlie Patino. And just really quick to highlight him, he's 6 foot, which brings some more physicality back to that midfield, and he's just a well-balanced player, kind of how Crespo was. I think we're going to need a big physical player in the Premier League. He's not the fastest, but he's strong, and just a good overall player. I think he's going to be awesome for us. He has the playmaker trait, and again, he's 21. This is our last chance to get Charlie Patino, so we're going to bring him in, and my idea is to have Charlie Patino start next to Mike Nelson, and our second team will be Crespo in that left center mid role that's more defensive for us, starting next to Villalba. That's going to be the plan. We'll see how it goes. Let me see if I can sign him to a contract. And it is official, our first signing of the summer and our first transfer of this entire save. We haven't really had the funds to buy any players. Charlie Patino comes in and looks like an awesome player. He is so well-rounded, and like I said, 6'0", had great value, 21 years old. We are going to train him probably to work on his pace a little bit, maybe the skill moves and weak foot as well, but he's going to slot in next to Nelson to give our team an even more of a Premier League look to it. Olofsson is a 72 on the right wing, but we still have Graham on the bench who's a 76 who could come up and into that spot. But this team, I said it, I think in Season 3, that in order to stay in the Premier League, we need a team of all 70s at least, with the lowest one being like a 70. And our lowest one is now 72. Charlie Patino is here, our first big signing. Very excited about that. Now let's go get that backup striker. And here is Kamara. We're going to go ahead, try and sign him up. Like I said, at this point, we can't get Frederick Greenwood or Cade Cowell because it'd be a transfer, and we've already used our one transfer. But we don't need another central midfielder now that we have Patino in. And in terms of defense, we will be okay if we have one injury. Now, if we start getting a lot of injuries in the defense, it's going to be a struggle. But again, we don't have a backup striker. We technically do in Bloxham, like I said, in Munoz, but I'm trying to sell both of them, which we'll go over in just a moment. So we're going to go for Edward Kamara. I think in the long term, he's going to help us more. And if by next summer we still really need a backup right back, we'll look at that then. For now, we're taking Kamara. So here we go. We have confirmation that Kamara is in. Now his passing does let him down quite a bit. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not good passing. His vision is 53 and his long pass is 53, with short pass being 65. So we will definitely probably look to focus on that in his training. But he's going to be a good little backup off the bench. Again, I like him a lot more than Bloxham. It does see Logan Wilson move down to the reserves off the bench. We have Graham on the bench now as a backup, so Logan Wilson doesn't need to be there. And we just got confirmation that Logan Wilson is done developing, Bennett is done developing, and Bjorklund is done developing. So again, we're not going to sell them because we need the depth. If you can see here, these 8 players, who you can't see these two behind my head, but it's Cook and Bjorklund. You can see it on the right side of the screen. That's all of our reserves. Underneath Lund is the guys we're trying to sell. We have Joseph Cook, Eliasson, Rivero, Bloxham, and Munoz, just trying to get a little bit more money in. Now that we are in the Premier League, it's going to be harder to rely just on free agents. We got to start making sure that we are finding some guys that are 21 years of age or younger that we can actually buy from other players each season. So I'm trying to sell them to bring in a little bit more money to get some more global transfer network scouts so that they can start looking for other players on other teams that we can buy. But these guys are out of the club. Bloxham was a huge bust from last season, so we're trying to move him on. Rivero never got his foot in the door, really. He played a couple games, but I was never impressed. Eliasson just got passed by better players. He gave us a good time in the second season. He did a pretty good job as our backup, but it never really panned out for him. Joseph Cook just has Logan Wilson and Graham and Olofsson ahead of him. He's not going to get into the squad, so we're trying to get profit for him. And Munoz, again, had other people pass him by, never really got going in our team, and he is going to be out the door as well. I am also trying to get Navarrete out on loan. I don't want to do a loan to buy. I want him as my backup, but this season we're really going to rely on Smith. I hope Smith doesn't get injured. We haven't had a goalie injury yet this save. If he does, it's going to be a rough season because we are trying to put Navarrete on loan just to give him a little bit more development. I'm going to rock with Smith every game, and I don't want Navarrete to rot on our bench. So if I can get him out for loan to where we can get him back, and he comes back as maybe a 72, 74, I don't know, somewhere around there, it will really help us out. With Jacob Lund being our backup, again, not the best backup, but I don't plan on using my backups unless I have to. Maybe international breaks, which could cause some issues, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Now we're going to go through the list of our players, and I'm going to highlight the guys whose potential status has gone up, and we have some pretty crazy developments. The first one is Anthony Smith. Now, after being in our squad since literally the first episode, he finally has a potential status. Last season in the championship, he won top goal scorer. Side note here, I'm sorry I forgot to show the stats, who won the Golden Boot, who was the best goalkeeper, all that stuff. But Anthony Smith was the best goalkeeper in the championship last year, and I think that's the reason now he's showing to have great potential, which is like a low to mid 80s player. So I'm very excited about that he will continue to develop for us. We then have David Lundberg here, still showing great potential. He's been showing that from the beginning, but good to know that he's going to hit low 80s as well. Up next is Harry Bishop. His status has changed from an exciting prospect to has potential to be special. I am super excited about this. If he becomes anywhere even close to a 90, it's going to be huge for our defense. I love Harry Bishop. He is our captain. He's American. Go Harry Bishop. Ian Taylor is the next one to go up from an exciting prospect to has potential to be special. So that's 3 guys in our starting defense that has potential statuses, and 2 of them have potential to be special in Harry Bishop and now Ian Taylor. Oscar Villalba in the middle of the park has showing great potential. Again, he's had that all along. I was hoping that maybe it would go up to an exciting prospect, but I think just because his development's gone a little bit slower and he's still only a 72 overall, it hasn't jumped up that much. Maybe if he has a good season this year, it will jump up again, but he is showing great potential. New boy, Charlie Patino, has showing great potential as well, which again, lowers 80s player is not a bad pickup for us, and hopefully if he has a really good year, we can push that up to an exciting prospect. The next boy with having potential to be special is Mike Nelson. I said it last season that I hoped he would get up to this because he was amazing. He just turned 17 and he's a 74 overall. He is phenomenal. I'm so excited to see how he does in the Premier League, but he has potential to be special as well. Same as before, Jan Carlson at 18 years old and 80 overall has potential to be special. Once again, same as before, Raphael Schaefer here has potential to be special as well. Robin Olofsson here has actually gone down. At the end of last season, he had potential to be special. He's gone all the way down to showing great potential. I'm hoping now that he's starting on that right wing, he has a good season. I'm really hoping that that will jump back up to having potential to be special, or at least an exciting prospect. We know that Hunter Graham is done developing, and so I really would like to see Robin Olofsson push past Hunter Graham. If he drops down to not having any potential status, I think I'll move back to starting Graham. Here we have Frank Baker, and we have another player who has potential to be special. We now have 6 players in our squad that have potential to be special. Harry Bishop, Ian Taylor, Mike Nelson, Schaefer on the left wing, Carlson in the center attacking mid position, and now Frank Baker. Our team is looking phenomenal. And last but certainly not least, it looks like we did get a good signing in Kamara because he has showing great potential. If he can develop even to a high 70s as our backup striker, I would be so happy. Now before we go all crazy, I'm super excited about the potential development within our squad, but we have to keep in mind that last season we had a great year in the championship, and this season we are in the Premier League. I do think we will finish mid-table, but I'm not convinced that all the players that had breakout years this past season are going to have breakout years again to where they're just flying. So we might see some of these potentials start sliding back down. I'm really hoping not. Hopefully we can continue to get them some great results in good form so that their potential stays up. But realistically, we will probably see some of these guys regress towards the mean again, but I'm super excited for the development that we have got right now. So now with all that done, I'm going to have up our team this season compared to where we started out last season. Now, it is pretty crazy, super excited. Again, this team's journey through the Crucible in terms of developing has just been so much fun. That is why I love these saves. That's why I'm making this content for you. As I've mentioned before, my heart is about developing people in real life and even just developing characters in game, developing teams. And so it's been so exciting. I can't wait to see where we start out next season from where we are now. But let's get in. I'm going to get a little bit forward. We're going to do scouting reports together, and we're going to play the first game of our Premier League campaign. Hinga dinga dargan, we are in the Premier League garden. Let's check out those scouting reports. Here is our first look at our youth academy. It is getting pretty full. There's only a couple guys who maybe could come up and get some game time. Ian Kerr here is one who I am pretty confident will at some point come up and get some game time. He's a little bit slower, but if guys like Logan Wilson who are done developing get really angry that they're not playing, then we'll sell Logan Wilson and bring Ian Kerr in to be our 5th winger. But the team is looking good. We got Lundqvist here who looks like a good player. Collins, Sons is now up to 16 and can be signed. Again, we're going to keep them down here until they force their way up just so they continue to develop, because once any of these guys get into our first team, the chances of them getting game time is very unlikely. Again, we could loan them out, but for now we're just going to keep them here and see how they develop. So we did draw another blank, which is pretty disappointing, honestly. We didn't get any more Youth Academy prospects, but I guess that's okay. As you can see, we are honestly pretty darn stocked for Youth Academy prospects. A couple guys that we also can keep an eye on is Carlson here. He could potentially come in and be a backup right back at some point. It's kind of a long shot. His potential's pretty good, but he's a 61 overall. I'm trying to see if either of these guys could maybe play right back. Maybe Collins. He's 5'11". His pace, his acceleration is 61, which is just terrible. Let's take a look off camera really fast at how long it would take to maybe switch some of these guys to right back to see if maybe they could do a job there. Now, I just looked through it, and Collins would take 32 weeks to become a right back. I really think it's because of his pace and probably his passing and dribbling being so low as well. But I took a look at Sans, and it would take him 4 weeks to become a right back. Now, he is 6'1". I like the idea of him being a central defender, but we do have Bjorklund as I guess he's our 4th string center back, and Chris Collins would come up and maybe be our 5th string. My idea would be to sell Bjorklund at some point and have these two come in and be our 4th and 5th string center backs, with Sans probably being ahead of Collins just because he's younger. But if we really get into a pickle this season where we really need a right back that's a backup, I think I'm going to start moving Sans there and at least call him up to play that position. If push comes to shove, we switch him to right back and then maybe back to center back just so he can swing out to the right back position if needed for a little bit of versatility. So before we hop into that first game of the season against Leicester, I did want to update you on our tournament at the beginning of the year. We drew against Aston Villa, we drew against Valencia, we beat Borussia Mönchengladbach, and these games are so close that we were rotating the squad a bunch between our second string players and our starters, and the boys did great. We made it to the semifinal against Wolfsburg, and we lost that one 2-3 to knock us out, but it brought in a bunch of extra money, which we then used for Global Transfer Network scouts. But let me update you on the transfers, and then I'll show you what we've done in the Global Transfer Network. The last thing you guys saw was Kamara coming in on a free transfer for us. We then sold Rivero to Union for $1.8 million. We followed that up by selling Joseph Cook to Inter Miami for $2.5 million, a great little recoup for us considering that he never even played a game for us. We got $2.5 million for him. Tom Bloxham is going to Belgium. Club Brugge offered $5.5 million, and we immediately sold him. Get him out of here. What a big bust for us. Disappointed with how that turned out, but I'm happy that we at least got about the same amount of money that we paid for him. We did get someone to come in for Navarrete on a loan. Now, we had one offer for him on a loan to buy, and I tried to just switch that to a loan, and they weren't having it. They didn't want anything to do with him, and I thought that, okay, we're probably just going to be stuck with Navarrete. Maybe I'll play him in the cup competitions. He did move up to a 71 overall in the time off camera that you guys didn't see. Augsburg came in offering a 2-year loan with no option to buy. I went in to negotiate, and I asked for a 1 year, and they accepted. I only did a 1 year because I figure if he doesn't develop that much, then we can always loan him out again. But if he does go up and he starts for them and gets some good game time for them, in theory, he could be our backup. And really at that point, I will probably still just play Smith, but I don't really trust a 71 overall to carry this team. Navarrete is a good player. He's done a great job when called upon, but when international breaks come up or if Smith gets injured, then I want to have a backup that I'm confident can at least do a decent job for us, so that's why we loaned him out. And our last transfer thus far is Eliasson. He's finally out of the club. $1.3 million for him, 19 years old. We've done some good transfer business, honestly, bringing these youth academy guys up. If they don't make it, we move them on and sell them. There's still a couple other guys we're trying to push out of the club, but all this money coming in helped fund some new scouts within the Global Transfer Network, so let me go show you that. Now, we have brought in 6 great scouts for our Global Transfer Network, and this is getting more important now that free agents aren't going to come into our team necessarily and start immediately. So we need to start scouting other leagues around the world to find players that can come into our team that could really boost us as some of these guys either stop developing or we don't get maybe some good youth prospects in a certain position. Then we can fill these holes with these guys that they're scouting. We have one scouting England, one scouting Germany, Spain, Italy, and France. We left Jacob Lane available so that we can send him out to scout specific players while these other guys are scouring these leagues. Now we're focusing on any position first team quality who is a promising player, age 16 to 20. I know it's pretty tight parameters, but that's really what we're looking for. We can't sign anyone 21 years of age or older, or 22, years of age or older. We can sign 21-year-olds, but I want them to be the age range of 20 because if we find a 21-year-old that we really want, by the time we get to the transfer window for next year, they will probably be 22. So we're focusing on these parameters. It does make it extra hard to find players, but in interesting news here, and I'm not sure we're going to get him, but our Germany scout, has found Youssoufa Moukoko. Now, if you don't know who this is, he is a very well-known young striker, plays for Borussia Dortmund. He lit up Borussia Dortmund's youth leagues like crazy amount of goals. Insane. Looks like he's going to be a great striker, up and coming, has great potential in this game. The thing that's very interesting about him is that he has his contract expiring in 11 months. Now, I love Frank Baker. Don't get me wrong. But if Youssoufa Moukoko, valued at $36.5 million, gets down to 6 months on his contract, we can offer him a contract and not have to pay a transfer fee and get him for free, other than the contract we have to pay him. But we won't have to pay a transfer fee. So we're going to be keeping an eye on him. If that happens, in January we're going to check. I honestly think we're going to go for him. Again, I love Frank Baker, but this player is too good a player to pass up on not getting just because we love another player. Again, this is a business. We're treating it like we do in real life, right? In real life sports, you don't pass up on a really good player that you could get just because you really, really like yours. Again, love Frank Baker, but Moukoko, if we can get him on a free transfer, it would be insane. We don't know what his overall is yet. We have 5 days left on the scouting report, and once I find that out, I'll probably show you. May happen after this game against Leicester, so let's go get into that game. This is our first starting 11 that we're taking into the Premier League. It is Smith in goal, a back four of Ojeda, Bishop, Lundberg, and Taylor. Patino and Nelson in the midfield with Schaefer, Carlson, and Olafsson, the attacking three behind Baker. On the bench, we have Mohamed, Jonasson, Villalba, Wilson, Nilsson, Graham, and Kamara. Now, the only guy we're trying to sell that we have not sold is Munoz. We'll update you again if we do sell him. Our reserves are a little thin. We have no reserve striker. I guess we could maybe move Schaefer up there if we need to. Maybe Graham. We're just going to have to see with injuries. But like I said, because we only can do one transfer, one free agent, we are a little thin. But we have some depth. I kept Bennett around just for some depth in case we get an injury in the center of the park. Because if we get an injury in the center of the park, even, I guess maybe not at center attacking mid, but if we get a center mid injured, then we'll be down to 3, including Crespo. So Bennett would be our 4th. We can also use Menendez at center mid if need be, and he would probably come in. Maybe not. Bennett's defending is good. I'm not sure which one of them I would use. Menendez will be our 3rd string center attacking mid. He's a great option to play in center attacking mid or central mid. But if we get an injury in center mid and center attacking mid, we're definitely going to be thin and struggling just a little bit. We don't really have anyone in the youth academy that is someone who can come up and play in the Premier League immediately. But that is a look at the team. The boys have developed even further since the last time you guys saw me at the beginning of this episode. So super excited. Let's get into this game against Leicester and try and get our first 3 points in the Premier League. And here we are. Now, I did just see that they have Alexander Isaac up top. Great player, played for Borussia Dortmund for a while, is with Sociedad currently, and linked with a lot of top clubs around Europe. We also, sorry if you can hear that, that's my dog under me making noise. Give me 1 second. All right, as I was saying, they also have Nicolas Pepe and Nuno Mendes. And there's Alexander Isaac welcoming us to the Premier League on the cross from the other boy I was talking about, Nuno Mendes. Oh man, this might be a long season. Teams like this are the ones that we're going to struggle against. Top half of the league teams. What a cross. What a finish. No chance there from Smith. Bishop and Lundberg are rinsed by Alexander Isaac, and Leicester is up 1-0. I was simply highlighting who they have to say that they have a pretty good team, and 2 of their boys that I was highlighting have already introduced themselves to you guys. Okay, we got to play some defense today. Again, if we can average 2 points a game, then we can stay in this league. That's kind of the barometer. I guess not 2 points. If we can average a point per game, I should say, we probably have a good chance of staying in the league. Get this down to Schaefer. Good pass from Patino. Our new boy, we got Carlson right here. Getting it over to Baker, who's going to rip that. Oh, and it's saved by Simone. That was a good attacking play, though. We almost returned the favor right back to him. We get up, and I should have passed this a lot sooner. We'll give it out here to Schaefer, and we're going to get it into Bishop. Nope. Bishop was not there to get onto it. Got Mike Nelson here playing some defense. But, man, it feels so good to finally be in the Premier League. I know this season is going to be a long, hard season because we're still on Legendary. We haven't changed the difficulty at all. Still on Legendary difficulty. And now we're against some world-class players. So it's going to be interesting to see how we actually get on and do this year. But I am very excited to be here. Now, we have Taylor playing out, trying to defend Nuno Mendes. He's going to have some trouble with that this day for sure. Nuno Mendes plays for PSG currently in real life, and he is touted as an up-and-coming prospect. Terrible turnover from Bishop, and they're going to rip that off the post. Goodness gracious. And Smith gets down to save it. We are getting outclassed heavily right now. And this isn't even like one of the big six. Leicester are good, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, not one of them, and I run right past Isaac. Smith makes a great save. Here is their following corner. Patino is out here trying to play some defense, wins the ball, and he's going to run. He's not as fast as this defender, I don't think, so I really need a pass to open up, and I'm not seeing anyone. Nuno Mendes is just too fast. Get Olafsson here. Get it into Baker. It's not a great pass. It's a good attacking play, and we are looking fairly dangerous. I definitely would say that we can get a goal today. I'm not sure if we'll win, but I definitely feel pretty confident that we can get a goal. But we're really going to have to make the most of our games against lower league opposite or lower table opposition. It's a terrible touch from them. It goes out for a goal kick. Nelson is taken off the ball right there, trying to get back and play some defense. It is kind of weird because last season Nelson was one of our up-and-coming superstars, and now, I mean, he still technically is one of our up-and-coming superstars, but now he is our worst player on the field with this starting 11. So kind of a new role for him. Going to try and play him into successful positions where he can make good, clean passes, get in good defensive positions. But this season is definitely going to be longer than the past couple have been. I'm hoping that it goes similarly to how they have in the past, where we really struggle at first because we're adjusting to a new league, and then we do well to kind of get our feet under us. That's the halftime whistle. We're down 1-0. We're not getting destroyed. You could argue that Leicester maybe could be up by 2 or 3 goals, but they're not. They're up by 1. Now we got to get into this second half, really just work on solidifying our defense. I'm going to look for little positives in these first couple games, just trying to build on the little victories before we get our first 3 points. Hopefully today we can still get our first 3 points, so let's get into that second half. I said before that Nelson is our worst player in the starting 11, and that's actually not true. It's actually Olafsson. Nelson is our second worst player in the starting 11, only ahead of Olafsson. And man, is the defense tight in the Premier League. Not as open as we have seen in some of our other competitions. Got Patino here just trying to find a play. Nelson turns to try and get away. Can't quite get away. Give it back into Nelson, over to Carlson, and we're going to rip that. And he does it! Let's go! Hit him with a dead fish. Carlson gets our first goal in the Premier League. A beautiful strike from outside of the 18-yard box. What a goal. I'm struggling to find anything open. I pass it into Nelson, who slots it to Carlson, and I say, let's just rip it. And that is a world-class finish from our Superstar Carlson bins it. Look how wide that's going. Bins it up into that top corner to equalize 1-1. Now, I forgot to show the stats at the end of the season last year, but Carlson, Schaefer, and Graham all had 16-plus goals for the club last year. They were all lethal. Carlson also had a ton of assists playing in that center attacking mid role, but the boys have been looking so good. And so we're hoping that those three can continue to develop into our triple-headed beast of attack. That goes out for a corner off the shot from Pepe. It's good to see that Arsenal no longer have Nicolas Pepe. He's Arsenal's most expensive transfer ever, and he has not even come near that value. What a pass and shot. As Alexander Isak's back was to goal. Let's look at that replay. And he tries to just flick it with a no-look shot. Smith gets there. It's out for a corner. Here they are again, looking like they're going short. One thing we will have to keep an eye on is Patino's stamina. He is running out of stamina a lot quicker than I expected. I didn't think I was running with him too much. And we're in. We are in. Let's go. Get it over to Schaefer. And we do it! Hit him with the worm, whatever. I can't even speak. Worm him. Worm him. Let's go. We are up 2-1 in our first Premier League game against Leicester. The corner looks sketchy. It hops out. We get it into Baker, who plays Carlson in. Schaefer is wide open on the back post. We slot it across, and he puts us up 2-1. We're making one change currently. It's Villalba coming in for Patino. Patino is getting pretty tired. I want to still develop Villalba, and Villalba can run forever. I think trying to close out this game with a win, he can run all over the place, try and win some balls back for us, so we're going to bring him on. And here they are controlling the possession comfortably. We can't quite get to them. Nicolas Pepe on the wing there. Bishop get there. He does get a foot in to kind of kill the attack, but they still have possession, pushing in, trying to win the ball back without committing a penalty, which is what it looks like they're going for. They rip a long shot. Alexander Isak here with the ball. They pass it back out, and Isak takes another rip, blocked by the boys yet again. And Alexander Isak is in here. Bishop dives, and Smith makes the save. It goes out for a corner. We are making our last two subs. Jonasson comes in at left back for Ojeda. Ojeda is getting a little winded. It seems like already that the speed of the Premier League is a lot faster, and our guys are getting tired very quick. So Jonasson comes on. He's not the quickest, but his defending is so stout. I think he can hold that down. Hopefully we don't concede a goal from that left side, or I will know in the future that Jonasson's not the man to bring in. But we're also bringing in Graham for Olofsson. Olofsson has had a pretty good run out, but I want to try and bring Graham in to maybe hit them on a counter down that right wing. So let's try and hold on for these 3 points. It looks like our scoreboard is messed up. I can't tell you how much time is left or anything. Looks like a little bug that hopefully will fix itself. Get it into Baker here. And he shoots it wide. I thought he was going to take a lot earlier of a shot, and so I hit it very early, and I took my thumb off the thumbstick, and he just took an extra step or two. Goes wide. We have 10 minutes left. We got to hold on, boys. They're moving it into our half yet again. With Bowen back into Isak, who's dropping very deep to play a facilitator type role. Chase him with Villalba. That's why we brought him on, to try and thwart some of these attacking plays that they have. And Alexander Isak gets his brace. A long-range shot. Smith was equal to those in the leagues below because no one was hitting it with that kind of power. They equalize in, I think, the 84th minute. Oh, man. I mean, he just belts this ball. They pass it back to him. He has enough space. Yeah, no shot there from Smith. I'm going to have to be a lot more tight defensively this year in the Premier League. Unfortunate, but they have equalized. And that was actually in the 87th minute. Let's see if maybe we can make something happen in the dying embers of this game. I got Graham on here, and he loses the ball. It does go out for our throw. We'll get it right back into Graham, up to Carlson. And I would like to go over to Villalba. It is a foul. They receive a yellow card for it. We're going to pass it out here to Graham, and I want to get that into Schaefer, and we're going to whip it back post. Goes out for a corner. I will take it. All right, we are in the dying embers of the game. We really got to make something happen from this corner or the ensuing play after. And Simone gets up to grab the cross. Now, can we win this header back? We do, but we're running out of time here. Get this into Carlson. Go back into Nelson, down to Graham. And we're going to whip this in. It goes out again for a corner. And this will be our last shot of the game. Try and get 3 points, but I will 100% take a draw away from home against Leicester City to open up our Premier League campaign. And that is the final whistle. Efour United 2, Leicester City 2. So that late equalizer from Isaac does see us in a draw and get 1 point, but I will take that. Like I said, if we can get average 1 point per game over this season, we should do well to stay up in the Premier League. And I really do think we can push for mid-table. Leicester City is not a bad team at all. And if we can put up a fight like that against them, I think we will be looking very good. Now, the interesting part will be when we get into a lot more matches and we have to rotate the squad some. Then we'll really be tested when our depth is tested. But I did want to highlight the teams that came up into the Premier League with us. We have Nottingham Forest, who are sitting in 15th. And where are they? Brighton in 12th. So Brighton, Nottingham Forest, and Efour United were promoted up into the Premier League this year. The 3 teams that were relegated down to the Championship were Leeds, Bournemouth, and Aston Villa. All fairly big teams in the Premier League currently. Leeds have had a rough season this year. They're managed now by Jesse Marsh, an American, which is pretty exciting. But they have gone down. We've gone up. And we have started our campaign off with a draw against Leicester. Leaves us in 5th, but it is 1 game in the season. I'm not holding my breath. It's kind of skewed after 1 game in the season. So we've done a great job. We scored some goals. We did decent defensively. We really got to work on tightening that up. But overall, a great showing from the boys. Very, very excited about that. So now I'm going to hop off camera. I'm going to play against Tottenham, Accrington in the Cup, which is the Carabao Cup, and then Newcastle in the league. We'll be back for the scouting reports, and then we will wrap up the episode. Super, super excited about that first game. I know I've said it a couple times, but I was expecting to get spanked by them. Tottenham is going to be another difficult game facing off against Heung-min Son, Harry Kane. I don't even know who else they've purchased, or maybe hopefully they've sold some of those guys, but that's probably going to be a challenging one. Newcastle will be another interesting one because I know they have a lot of money. They were just bought essentially by the entire nation of Saudi Arabia. Not really, but they have a lot of money being backed from that country, and so they are probably buying a lot of really good players. But let me go off camera, play these 3 games. I'll update you on what happens in these games, and then we'll get into those scouting reports. Hinga Dargan, our journey in the Premier League might be done before it's even started. Let's check out these scouting reports. Quick look here at the Youth Academy. The only one that really is inspiring me is Ian Kerr, 87 and 93 potential. Looks like he honestly is going to be a great player. He's not going to take Schaefer's spot. Nilsson has that backup spot locked down. Again, he will come up at some point. Maybe at that point we'll loan him out unless Nilsson or Logan Wilson push themselves out of the club. Kerr is going to get game time then, but until then, we'll leave him down here. Same as always, if they tell me they're ready to come up, we'll bring them up. Otherwise, they're staying down here to develop. Bruno Santos here is 5'7". He's only valued at $750,000, but he looks like a right back. So we are going to sign him. He's 15, potential range of 73 to 94. He's definitely not going to be a starting level right back when he comes in. But at $750,000 value, I think he's going to be good enough to incubate down in the youth academy, maybe develop a little bit so that when he does eventually move into the starting lineup, he can help us out maybe as a backup right back. I'm not sure, but we're going to sign him anyways. Martin Granero here is $1.2 million value, which is actually exciting. It's our first one in a while. Looks like maybe a center attacking mid, maybe a winger. We'll have to wait and see when we check him out in the youth academy. Marcus James here, $2 million valued goalkeeper, 6'4", could honestly be that backup goalkeeper that we were looking for. We're already out of the transfer window, so no one else has left the club and no one else can leave the club, but we're going to sign him. Very excited about this one. He could potentially be our backup this season ahead of Jacob Lund. Here's a look at our 3 new boys. Marcus James is a 66 overall goalkeeper. Looks pretty decent. We're training him as a sweeper keeper to really focus on that positioning because it is his lowest attribute. Hopefully it will develop well. So that is the first one. Then we have Bruno Santos here. He is a right back. He has good potential. He could develop really well for us. We're focusing on defensive wide back just to start pouring into his defensive awareness so that just rises as much as it can before he potentially is called upon. I'm not sure if we will need him, especially with Carlson here. I really couldn't tell you. I don't know, but I'm happy that we at least got a potentially good right back in our youth academy. We'll develop. He's 15. He's going to sit down here anyways, so we might as well see how he gets on. Along with his defensive awareness, when you focus on defensive wide back training, it also gets his acceleration up, which is only 66. His sprint speed is 69, which isn't the best either, but if we can get that acceleration up a little bit, then when we switch him to different training in the future, the sprint speed will then be focused on getting up. And last but certainly not least is Martin Granero here. He is a center forward. He's not quick enough, I don't think, to play in the striker position or a winger, and his shooting isn't great either. He definitely looks like a center attacking mid, so we are switching him to central attacking midfielder. I would guess that when he completes that move, his overall will jump up a little bit, so one for the future as well. And potentially if Menendez or Cameron Wilson want to leave or something, again, it just gives us some options down in our youth academy. We have so many youth academy prospects, and I think I might be getting to the point where I'm going to start cutting some of them depending on how their potential looks. I'm looking at Marcus Lundqvist here. He is one of our highest rated youth prospects at 66, but his potential is only 73 to 79. Not really going to cut it. I may not actually cut them. I'll probably pull them up in the January transfer window and maybe try and sell them then, but we'll just have to wait and see. But that's a quick look at our youth academy. Since you were last with me, that 2-2 draw against Leicester at the beginning of the season, we then took on Tottenham and we lost that one 2-1. We went down 1-0, and then Baker came back and got a goal to equalize, and we let in another goal late on. The Premier League is definitely more challenging than the Championship. Go figure. But it is way harder. Tottenham did not have Kane, but they still had a great team, and they handled us fairly comfortably. I was pretty proud that we got a goal back in that game, but we still ended up losing 2-1. We then went into the Carabao Cup against Accrington. I'll throw the team we used up over here. It was all backups. I was resting all the starters for the Premier League because it looks like we're going to really need to rely on our best players in the Premier League. We had goals from new striker Kamara and a goal in that game also from Cameron Wilson, our center attacking mid. We won that one comfortably. It was really good to be able to use an entire second team and still know that we're better than this team. Very, very comfortable win there. We handled them easily. We then came back into the league against Newcastle, and they were bottom of the league. They'd played 2 games. They'd lost both, 0 points. We'd played 2 and drawn 1 on 1 point. And I really feel like this was our best game in terms of gameplay. We went down 1-0, and we got a goal back from Mike Nelson. Carlson played him in. Mike Nelson ran in, got his first Premier League goal, and then we gave up a late goal at the end. Another difficult game. This season is going to be challenging. I know I said I think we can push for mid-table. Maybe this is just the normal wobble we have at the beginning of seasons. The Newcastle game did feel better despite losing. I'm starting to get into a rhythm of how the Premier League plays, but man, we are struggling. We've played 3 matches in the league. We've drawn 1 and lost 2. We are sitting very far down the table, so let's go check that out. For the first time in the save, our league position is almost blocked by my big head, which it hasn't happened at all. So we have played 3 matches, like I said, drawn 1, lost 2. We have a -2 goal differential on 1 point. The good news is, if we win our next game, we could move as far up as 13. Really just depends. It has been a rough start. It's going to be challenging. Teams like Nottingham Forest, maybe Brighton, who came up with us as well. Granted, they're sitting in 5th. Maybe they've played bad teams. I don't know. But the teams that we've came up against, teams like Watford, who sit at the bottom of the table, Brentford, we already drew with Leicester, maybe Burnley, Newcastle beat us as well. So I'm not too sure. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to keep playing games off camera. We have a couple big games this month that I'm going to bring you guys back for so you guys can watch me get waxed a little bit more. But it's been fun. I'm still excited to be here, but we have a lot of work to do. We might end up needing to change the tactic. I'm not exactly sure, but we need to figure it out before we're sent back down to the Championship. If you have enjoyed that, leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn that bell on so you get notified when these videos come out. I release them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. And I stream over on Twitch. The schedule is changing. It's going to be Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 7. No more Saturdays. I work full time, and while I'm trying to figure out the routine and rhythm of being a content creator, I need to use Saturday to really focus on getting my social media posts ready for the next week. So we won't have any more streams on Saturday for the time being. One day we'll bring them back, but not at this moment. The team is still developing and looking so good. It's really not a bad team. I need to rely on Schaefer more in these games. I've used him a couple times to dribble in and out, and he is an 87. He is our best player. I need to use him and try and have him kind of carry the load early on while we're getting used to the pace of the Premier League. Carlson as well, an 81 overall, has done a great job. I might bring Graham back on the right wing. I'm not sure. Olafsson is good, but his pace lets him down a little bit just because he's a young guy. Hasn't been in getting a lot of game time yet, so his pace hasn't developed yet. It will in time, but because he's a little bit slower, it can hurt him in the Premier League. Because, man, are these defenders and everyone we're playing against, they're just so rapid. It was so nice to play the Carabao Cup game against Accrington and just dominate how I've been used to the past 4 seasons. And now we're really struggling. It's going to be a tough season, but I'm super excited about this team's journey through the Crucible. Until next time, Efour out.